Good day. We are starting a brand new week of devotions, and this week I'd like to share with you on how to get through trials. You know, we all experience trials in life, and the Bible gives us some clues and some tips on how we can get through every kind of trial. You know, encountering many Christians and doing a lot of counseling, many people will come to me when they're going through a trial and go, "Why am I going through this trial? Because I'm a Christian." And many people have this idea that now they're a believer, that they're exempt from the trials of life. And unfortunately, that is not true. In John chapter 16, verse 33, Jesus said this. He said, "These things I've spoken to you, that in me you may have peace. In the world you will have tribulations and trials, but be of good cheer, I have overcome the world." And so my first tip for you this week on how to get through a trial is taking the very words of Jesus, and he says, be of good cheer. He's saying that we can take courage, that we can have joy even in the midst of circumstances, trials, and tribulations that are not favorable. And Jesus says that the way that we can overcome these things is by having joy, is by taking courage, by having cheer in our hearts. In James chapter 1, it says this from verse 2 to 8. It says, "My brethren, count it all joy when you fall into various trials." Now, I haven't had many people come into my office when they are needing counseling and going through a trial, where they've come into my office saying, "Man, I am just so happy because I'm going through a trial." Most people are doomy and gloomy, because they have this expectation of doom in the midst of a trial. But the Bible is saying here, count it all joy when you go through various trials. It goes on, knowing that the testing of your faith produces patience. It's saying, man, your faith, what you believe, is now going to be tested in the midst of this. Do I believe that it's going to end in disaster, or do I believe that God is faithful? Do I believe that this is going to be the end of it all? Or do I believe that I'm an overcomer? It says, "But let patience have its perfect work, that you may be perfect and complete, lacking nothing. And if anyone lacks wisdom, let him ask of God, who gives to all liberally and without reproach, and it'll be given to him. Let him ask in faith with no doubting. For he who doubts is like a wave of the sea, driven and tossed by the wind. For let not that man suppose that he will receive anything from the Lord. He's double-minded, unstable in all his ways." So he's saying, man, I can ask God when I'm going through a trial. I can know that God is the one who is for me. We know that trials don't come from God. In John 10:10, it says it's the thief who comes to steal, kill, and destroy. In James 1:13, it says, "Let no one say when he's going through a trial that it is God, because God tempts, tests, or tries no man." So we know every good and perfect gift comes from God. He's not the source of any kind of trial, but I can be of good cheer. I can count it all joy when I go through these things, knowing that in this world we're going to experience tribulations, trials, temptations, but it is God who's going to get me through these things. Do you remember when Jesus was walking on the water and the disciples were in the midst of a storm? The first words out of his mouth were in Mark 6:50, "For they all saw him and they were troubled. But immediately he talked with them and said to them, 'Be of good cheer. It is I. Do not be afraid.'" So he's saying, man, in the midst of your storm, you can know for sure that God is going to be with you. You don't have to be afraid, and you can count it all joy because God is the one who's going to get you through. In Psalm 46 verse 1, it says, "God is our refuge and strength, mighty and impenetrable, a very present and well-proved help in trouble." Friends, I want to encourage you, if you're going through a trial, this week is for you, and that you can count it all joy. You can be happy. You can be cheerful. You can take courage, because God is not the source of it. He's the very present help in a time of need. Be courageous. Take courage. Take heart. Consider it all joy that you're experiencing what you're experiencing, and that you're going to come through the other side. Always remember, you are highly favored and deeply loved of God.